We'll start by setting up our basic grid using the Grid tool. We click where we want one corner of the grid, and while holding down the button, drag the mouse over the area we want to grid. When we let up on the mouse button, Apprentice sets up the grid. Apprentice defaults to a 5x5 grid. There are several ways to modify this. First, we will use the Grid Info to change the number of cells in the model. We could set the grid up to be a uniform grid or a variable grid. If we select variable grid, we can type in the size of each cell. Let's use the constant spacing and set up a 25 by 25 grid. Now that we have the basic grid, we may want to refine it. For instance, we may want to refine the grid spacing in a certain area. We do this by using the local grid refinement option. We'll specify that we want to refine cells 5 to 8 in the X direction to have 10 cells. Notice how the cell spacing has been adjusted. We could also just select a grid line and move it, either in the X or the Y direction. Of course, this adjusts the spacing, but Apprentice will handle that for us. For simplicity, let's go back to the 25 by 25 uniform grid. This should be sufficient for this study. Now let's see how we can adjust the grid to better meet our needs. First, we will rotate the grid so that it lines up with the fault across the top. Then we will shift the grid so that it fits along the fault. And finally, we'll adjust the size of the grid so it fits within the mapped area. Notice that as the size is adjusted, the internal cells will adjust proportionately.